Hi everyone, it's Jessica. Thanks for joining with me today. I'm really excited to be scrapbooking these funny and cute pictures of my cat Petunia, especially because I recently picked up some new stuff here from Simple Stories. This is their fur baby cat collection, and I saw Simple Stories preview it earlier this winter on their Facebook page, and I knew that I had to have it. So I was very excited when I finally got my hands on some of it. I love all these pattern papers, and I do think that some of the B-sides are just sort of neutral, and I know I'm going to get a lot of use out of them. So I am really excited to play with them for the first time today. So I have pulled out these 3 patterns here that I'm going to use on my layout. I'm also going to use that orange pattern that I just flipped over to map my photos with. So I am working out of a sketch that I found on Pinterest. This is by Page Maps, and I'm just going to kind of modify it slightly, but it was a really good jumping off point for me. So I decided to cut that biggest square that's in the center of the page as an 8-inch square. So I've got a piece of white cardstock. And then, like I said, I used that orange pattern as a photo mat for my 2 3x4 photos. And then I did these little squares here as 2.5 inches. And I figure that that gives me enough of a white border like in between each of them, and then also all the way around. So that's what I was trying to go for. So I'm going to lay them all out to make sure that I did that math correctly and got everything to the right size, and also that I like where each of those pattern papers hits when I lay my photos over the top. Once I did that, though, I was really not feeling that white pattern. It is really cute. It's got a bunch of like yarn balls on it, but it just felt like there was too much white space in the pattern. So I decided to be thrifty, and rather than cutting a new piece of paper, I just flipped them over. And I'm going to go with the green side instead, which has a bunch of fish bones on it. So before gluing anything down, I do edge distress all of my papers. I use my edge distressing tool on the white square, and then I grab some coordinating ink colors for those smaller squares. Now for my base page, I am using some cardstock from my Close to My Heart collection, and I just grabbed an old ink pad that I think matches closely enough. And I want to do some ink distressing in a way that's almost going to look like there are scratches across the edge. You know, it is a cat layout. And so I am tilting my ink pad so that it's flatter, and really kind of running the surface of it across the edge of the paper. Normally when I do ink pad direct to paper, I tilt my ink pad a little bit more so there's just color on the edge, but this time I was really trying to get those streaks on there for that scratched look. And I was very happy with the way that that turned out. So I'll go ahead and put all of the things back together and glue them down. So now I am ready to figure out some of my embellishments here. On the page maps, it shows having a cluster up there and the title down here. I am going to start to change that around a little bit as I, figure out what I'm using and kind of play with some things. But for right now, I try putting that title down there at the bottom. I do also want to apologize for the lighting in most of this video because if I scrapbook at a certain time of day, the sun comes through my window and hits across my table. And so normally I try to avoid scrapbooking then, or at least filming a video then. But that was the only time that I had to scrapbook that weekend when I was making this video and this layout. And so it is what it is, but I apologize and I hope it's not too distracting. All right, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to use for all of my embellishment clusters here. Again, I was trying to be thrifty and use some of those papers I had already cut up for the squares, but I just wasn't loving any of them. So I did use this tag instead. One of the pattern papers has a bunch of tags on one side, so I cut that apart. And that's about when I decide to move my title up. So I like the way that it looks layered over that tag. And also I liked adding that circle back there in just that neutral color because it was starting to get a little busy. I mean, I do love all the patterns and colors, but it's a lot to look at on the layout. So I wanted to do something that helped it to stand out and also was a little bit of a calm place to look at. So here's where I'm still kind of moving things around, trying to figure stuff out. Later, I'm going to go and cut a couple more circles so that I can use those instead of those scrap pieces of paper that I have. Then I decided that I was going to pull these from my stash. So I got these from Some Assemblage Required by MK Gun, and they are these cute little wooden embellishments that look like fish bones. And in the sketch, there were a bunch of arrows up in that top part. And so I thought, oh, perfect. They kind of look like arrows. I'm going to do that instead. So here's where I bring in those circles so that I can, add those in. And I decide that rather than having the tags down at the bottom of the photos like it shows in the sketch, I'm just going to use a little bit of this circle poking out. That way I have enough space to put that little fish bone down there. Later I'll add one over to the left side of the layout too. Then I turn my attention to the tag because I need to make it a little bit more tag-like. So I punched a hole in it, and then I'm going to edge distress it and add a little bit of ribbon through it. So these photos just make me laugh every time I look at them because, Petunia is so sweet. She's such a cuddle bug. If you were reading a book, she's got to be right on your chest and, of course, right in the way. Like, you can't really see what you're reading. If you have your phone or a Kindle out, same thing, loves to be right on your chest and in the way. And I think she can see the lights from the electronics because she always reaches her paw out and loves to touch the screen and, get involved in that way. And so this particular day, my son had been playing on his Switch, and he sat it down on the couch and got up and walked away. And she immediately went right over and sat down with the Switch and put her paws over it like she was playing the Switch. So we just laughed and laughed at her. We're like, it's so typical. She is just quite the little character. So like I said, really excited to be scrapbooking these photos of her. So here's where I'm trying to figure out what ribbon to put through the top of that tag. I tried out a whole bunch of different options. This one right here is actually my favorite option and the one that I end up going with, but I really tried to talk myself out of it because it's a black and white gingham, and I don't have black anywhere else on the layout. And so I felt like, logically that doesn't make any sense. Why would I use that one and introduce a new color if I don't have it anywhere else? So I kept trying to bring in something different that would match the colors I had in my layout. And here even I bring in some blue and white baker's twine. There's a lot of blue in the layout. I'm like, yeah, that's probably a good choice too, but I don't know what it was. I just really loved the look and the thickness of that black and white gingham. And so after trying to talk myself out of it for a while, I just was like, forget about it. I like it. That's what I'm going to do. And then I figured, you know what? Petunia has that same kind of coloring. And so maybe that's where you have, those colors repeated elsewhere in the layout. So I think that it works. I do also have a bunch of cardstock stickers from this collection. So I went through a bunch of those little skinny word strips and pulled those out and added them to the layout. Later, when I was done filming, I decided I didn't like them here over the tag, and I did move them up above the title. So you might notice that in some of the still shots that they're not in the same location, but of course they have cute and funny things, sayings about cats on there. So I liked adding those and bringing in a few more of the colors. And once I have those kind of moved around, that's really just about it for this layout. I do bring in a couple of enamel dots and scatter those around my different clusters that I have going on here. But that's pretty much it. This was a pretty easy layout to do. I really enjoyed the pattern because I was able to bring in so many different papers. I love that about a collection that they all, color coordinate and thematically they go together. And so I love scrapbooking that way when I have that opportunity to kind of bring a lot of things in together. Just to finish this off here, I did put a little bit of stamped journal lines down here in the corner, and I'll add my journaling later. But that's it. You can see those enamel dots there and how I moved those word strips. But this one turned out really great. I love it. And like I said, just makes me smile to see cute little Petunia here pretending to play the Switch. We just giggled and giggled. So thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you have been inspired and that you're having a lovely day. I will see you guys next time. Happy crafting. Bye.